Over the years, I've worked with small business owners and I've noticed a consistent pattern. A lot of them do not have access to their Google Ads account. It's like someone running a business and not having access to their business bank account. If you run a business, you understand your cash flow. You know how money comes into your accounts, how money flows out. You know what time the salary is. You know everything about your business bank account. Even though you have an accountant that is helping you with your accounting, you still have access to your business bank account. I want you to have the same energy for your Google Ads because some small businesses spend up to $2 to $3 million in pounds on Google Ads a year. And it's sad that you don't actually have access to your Google Ads account. So if you're a small business owner listening to today's podcast, I want you to talk to your marketing team and request Google Ads access. All you need is your Gmail account. You just need a Gmail email address to be able to have access to the Google Ads. So if you already have an email address that is Google, just give it to your account team and ask them to give you access. You can ask them to give you read-only access so you don't go in and break anything. It's important that you have access to your Google Ads account. Again, if you are a small business organization or even a mid-sized organization, some mid-sized organizations spend up to £50 million a year on Google Ads. If you're a commercial director, a CFO, a head of marketing, a head of brand, and if Google Ads and paid advertising reports into you, I would encourage you to get access to Google Ads. The reason why I'm asking you to get access is not for you to go in and break anything, but it's for you to actually be able to have visibility of your Google Ads. You might say, oh, but I get reports from my agency and I get reports from my in-house team. Fine. Those reports are information pulled, collated, and presented to you. But you want to have access to the raw data, where the raw information is coming from. So that's why I encourage you to try and get access. And one of the reasons why it is important is because of a statistic that I want to share with you. 61% of Google Ads budget is wasted on the wrong keyword. The agencies that are running this ads missed this opportunity. The in-house team also missed this opportunity. That is why 61% of budget is wasted on the wrong keywords for Google Ads, especially for small businesses. This statistic and this research is coming from WebFX. It was done in 2025, so it's fairly recent. So let me talk about Google Ads in a nutshell, like Google Ads as a whole. Google Ads is like you building a house. The whole construction phase of the house, the design, the foundation, the building of the house, the roofing and everything. In the context of Google Ads, that's what we call the Google Ads setup. Then after you build a house, surely you're going to make sure that it's maintained. So even if you're building a rental property, you're going to get a facility management or a company to manage that property. That is the same principle that applies to Google Ads. The process of making sure that you're getting the best out of your Google Ads is what Google Ads management is all about. So let me just talk through the Google Ads setup process. If you're listening to this, if you already have your Google Ads set up, you might not find this relevant. But if you're new to Google Ads as a small business owner, you need to understand that the first stage of setting up a Google Ads is always the keyword research. You want to make sure that you have the right number of keywords for each service that you're providing. Again, this podcast episode is mainly focused on lead generation websites, not necessarily shopping. But in the context of lead generation website, you need to make sure that you have the right keyword research done. Again, 61% of Google Ads budget is wasted on wrong keywords. That's the reason why your keyword research needs to be really, really spot on. You need to make sure that not only will you research the keywords that are relevant to your business, you also want to make sure that you have all the keywords that are wasting your Google Ads budget. And then you need to look at the campaign structure. You need to structure each of your campaign based on the service that you offer. So there's no competition between that. So again, if you already have your Google Ads set up, you need to also make sure that you ask your team the question if the conversion is set up properly. You find a lot of organizations running Google Ads and spending thousands of dollars and pounds on it with the wrong conversion. That is the reason why the Google Ads budget is wasted as well. So these are the things you need to look at. Once that is set up, it's not a set it and forget it. And that's one problem with Google Ads, because sometimes if you have an agency that has too many clients, they will just set up your Google Ads and they will really not touch it anymore. And they'll just let the Google Ads run because they have so much clients and they have little capacity that they would just ignore the continuous Google Ads management. That's what this episode is about. Because after you set up your Google Ads, you need to constantly manage it. And that's where the problem between agencies and companies happen, because whilst the agency is getting paid on a monthly retainer, you're getting paid on a monthly basis. But because you have too many clients, you don't pay as much attention to the ongoing optimization. I've seen clients' websites and clients' Google Ads accounts that when they hire me to do an audit, I look at the account and the account has not been touched in 12 months. That is a recipe for disaster. And that's what you need to understand as a small business owner, that whilst you have hired an agency, are you sure that that agency is actually managing your Google Ads account, or they just only helped you with the setup? If they always helped you with the setup and just forgot it, and you're constantly just spending money on Google Ads and not getting the results, it's because you've not actually done what you need to do. So that's why I'm going to be talking about the Google Ads management mistakes. So when it comes to Google Ads management, what this requires is for you to have regular conversations with your agency. So if you're a small business owner, your agency will probably be meeting with you on a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday once a week to kind of go through the performance of the last week of your Google Ads. Depend on how much you spend on Google Ads. If you're spending $10,000 to $20,000 a week on Google Ads, they're going to have that conversation on a weekly basis. If you're spending less, that conversation might be bi-weekly or monthly. But as a business owner, that's why I said you need to get access to log into your Google Ads so you can go in yourself, you can look at the different things within the Google Ads. So the first thing you need to look at as a small business owner when it comes to Google Ads is to make sure that you work with your analytics team to make sure that your conversion tracking is really, really spot on. Because if your conversion tracking is set up wrongly, if you're tracking the wrong type of conversion, there's a high chance that you're wasting your budget. And statistics and research shows that 20% of improvement is made in Google Ads when you have the right conversion setup. The reason why this conversion is important is because that's what Google uses to optimize your account. So as a small business owner, I want you to have conversations with your analytics team, your website team, to make sure that the conversion tracking is set up properly. If your Google Ads account has been running for years, I've seen Google Ads account that has been running for years and the conversion tracking was broken. So this is not a one-off problem. It's not like, oh, we've set up our Google Ads and the conversion is working. No, you make sure when you're constantly looking at your Google Ads, you make sure that some website updates or some changes in the back end of the website that your design team or your website team has done has not broken your Google Ads tracking. Because again, your Google Ads tracking is a code. If someone goes into the back end or fiddles with your website, those code might be broken. So you want to make sure that you're constantly on a weekly basis making sure that the conversion tracking is set up correctly. Then another thing you need to do every Monday as a small business owner is look at your keyword targeting. The keyword targeting is linked to something called the search term reports. So if you're a small business owner, once you get access to your Google Ads account, I want you to go into Google Ads and search for the search term report. Within that report, you're going to see what people are typing into Google to find your business. So sometimes what they're typing into Google might be different to what the keyword you're targeting. When that happens, that means you're getting someone that is a little bit interested in your service, but they're not really interested in buying. So this is where we talk about the keyword match type. So if your keyword is set up to broad match, where you're looking for more volume, then the quality declines. So what I'm trying to say is when it comes to Google Ads, if you're looking to get more traffic with Google Ads, then you stand the risk of getting the wrong crowd to your Google Ads account. So one thing I want you to do, let's take an example of a plumbing business. A plumbing business is looking for someone to search for emergency plumber or bathroom repairs. All these kind of keywords indicate that the person is ready to hire you for your service if you're a lead generation website. But the same Google Ads can also bring traffic for plumbing career or plumbing courses. While these keywords have the word plumbing, but one has plumbing career, one has plumbing courses, those people are not ready to buy. Those people are just faffing around the internet, just fiddling with their computer, looking for work or doing research. And if they click on your Google ads, you've wasted money. So that's why it's important that you do this constantly. So when you're reviewing your search term reports, you're finding out the keywords that are performing really well, and you're doubling down on that, increasing the bid for that. And the keywords that are not performing so well, you're pausing them or you're adding them to negative keyword. As a small business owner, there's something called negative keywords. That's the keywords that you want Google never to show your Google ads when someone searches for that. So that's the second thing you need to do as a small business owner when it comes to your Google ads management. Then that also ties into your bidding. You want to make sure that if depending on your budget, if you have a small budget, I would recommend you avoid automating your Google ads. But if you have a large budget and you have the right conversion, the right number of conversion, then you can lean in a little bit towards automation. So what this means basically is automation is you giving control to Google that, okay, this is my money, these are my keywords, find me the best customers that will convert. And if your conversion tracking, landing page and everything is set up properly, Google will do a good job at that. But if you have a smaller budget, you need to hit a particular threshold of conversion. But because your budget is small, you won't be able to hit that. That's why it's important that you do a manual bidding and a manual approach to your Google ads. I've worked with clients that even after 2 years, they've been with the same Google Ads agency and the agency barely does anything. I'm not saying this to kind of portray agency in a negative light, but it's the reality. Small businesses rely on agencies. Agencies want to make money. They have a lot of clients. Some of them will have 30, 40 clients, and they have very few people working on those campaigns, and they need to maximize profits. The best way for them to maximize profits is to have more clients and less people working on it. And this results in some campaigns being ignored. So you have a situation where you have one account that has not been touched in over 2 years, where the ad copy and everything is just the same. This gets quickly stale and your customers and potential customers will not convert. So that's why it's important as a small business owner, even if you have an agency, you're logging into your Google Ads account and you're actually looking at the ad copy. You're looking at how often is the ad copy updated, refreshed to keep them really, really refreshed. And Google has something called responsive search ads where you can have up to 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. And Google would automatically shove it around and give the right combination to encourage people to convert. Same thing applies to your search term reports as well. You need to constantly refresh that as well. So what I'm trying to say in essence is on a weekly basis, you want to continuously look at your search term reports. You want to make sure that you're increasing bids on the ads that are performing, reducing bid on the ones that are not performing, adding the ones that are really, really terrible to the negative keywords. And you want to continuously check that your Google Ads budget is not overspending. These are the things that I want you to do as a small business owner on a weekly basis. Then on a monthly basis, you want to look at your entire Google Ads account. You want to do like a full audit. You also want to look at the ad copy. You want to make sure that it's refreshed. You want to look at the landing page, look at the performance, the landing page experience, look at what you call your quality score. You want to make sure that your quality score is between 8 to 10. And you also want to constantly review your account. So these are the things that you need to look at on a monthly basis. And on a quarterly basis, if you're adding a new service or you're adding a new product to your offering, you want to make sure that you have all the right conversion goals set up. You want to make sure that you have the right keyword theme set up as well. So these are the things that would help you as a small business owner to avoid wasting 61% of your Google Ads budget. 61% of budget wasted because of wrong keyword. That was something identified through a research by WebFX in 2025. So there's a possibility that your small business falls within that 61% wasted Google Ads budget. But you can avoid that by contacting me for a free Google Ads audit. I can give you a free 30 minutes audit to understand what is working in your Google Ads, what needs improvement. Sometimes your Google Ads might be set up the wrong way. It might need for you to restructure and replan the whole Google Ads and then set things in place to make sure that the management is done on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. My name is Femi Olajiga. I'm a marketing consultant, so I offer free 30 minutes Google Ads audits to small businesses. So you can click on the link in the description. If you're listening to this on the podcast platform, just go to the show notes. You see a link there. Click on it, book a free 30 minutes consultation with me. I'll go through your Google Ads and I'll help you improve the performance of your Google Ads to make sure that you're getting lower cost per acquisition, lower customer acquisition cost, and increased profit margin. My name is Femi Olajiga, and I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast.